morning, YouTube. Check it out. So, I think we got something different for you today. I still do have two square body Chevys sitting in front of the shop that I should be working on, but got to mix it up once in a while. So, if you didn't watch my, I don't know, a couple videos ago, this is the new truck. You can see that it's very stock, so it's not a whole lot of room right here. It's a little thin. So today we're going to put a level kit on it, hopefully, if everything works out. If you saw in the intro, I got a little shade set up because it's raining and it's a crappy day, but at least it's not cold. Use the heat to bring all my garage over here, so see if we can make this happen. And there's Axel. Oh, I'm barely on camera here. So obviously first thing I gotta do is jack this thing up. This is a heavy truck, so had to fix my big floor jack here this morning. I'll tell you about that in a second. But yeah, we gotta get this thing in there. We gotta get jack stands behind the control arm so we can let the axle hang down. And we actually have to remove the springs, disconnect the shocks and the sway bar, put the spacers in, put everything back together. We have to drill one hole per side. Hopefully it all goes pretty smooth because I gotta drive this thing in the morning. I gotta go to work. So let's get this thing jacked up. I got various blocks of wood over here to facilitate the jacking procedure. Don't really have a spot in the middle to jack it because you got a offset differential. Oh, this is fun. I'll tell you about this jack. I already knew this thing was it's on its way out. No guarantees it's even gonna work here. Come on. So it used to only lift about 6 inches high. That might be all it's gonna do again. It's going. So this morning I was gonna fix that, and I had to do a little research on how to add oil to a floor jack, because I know it leaks. That's probably not good. Just don't work underneath it. But so yeah, I popped a little rubber plug off and started filling it up with some oil, and I don't know what happened, but the rubber plug just randomly disappeared. You know, it was sitting on the ground 1 second, I fill it up, I reach around for the plug, it's gone. Awesome, huh? I looked for about half an hour. I was starting to get pissed off. I'm moving things all over. I'm like, today's just starting off crappy. And then randomly, out of nowhere, the plug just magically shows up on the same spot of the floor that I was in the whole time. I don't know what happened. It had to have came back because it was not there. It was so annoying. But obviously the jack is working better now. I know I'm working on gravel, which probably isn't the best thing to be doing right now. But we're going to take the proper steps to make sure things don't sink down into the wood. Sink down into the gravel. Got my big jack stands over here. Yeah. Might not be able to do that. Make sure I got enough room to put it back together after things are hanging a couple inches lower. I never liked this floor jack. I really want to get a nice heavy duty aluminum one. Oh god, that is definitely not going to be enough. So I think what we'll do, I don't want to go any higher than that. The tire's just got a couple inches, maybe an inch or two off the ground there. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to obviously take the wheels off. I'm going to do everything, and then yeah, I'll just have to use a jack to push the axle back up a little bit when I put the tires back on, and yeah, I think that'll work. I don't want to have it so high on the ground or off the ground that it's on stilts, you know. Just, I don't like that, especially something this heavy. So let's get the other side and continue on. Don't want to scratch these fancy wheels. Woo! Boy, I sure get cheap. Yeah, then I have 6 retainers. I didn't put 8 on there anymore. Cutting corners wherever they can. Fire up this air compressor and hopefully it works over here. Alright. Lug nuts are off. Let's see what's in here. So, just for reference here, these are, oh god, what's the metric size? 275, 80, 18. The equivalent, it comes out to a 33 by 11 by 18. With the level kit, what you can go up to is a 35 by 12 and a half, 18, which in metric, which is what I bought, is a 305, 70, 18. There's a whole lot of numbers for them. Man, that's some big stuff. Look at the size of those brakes. Jesus. Those are huge. And I get to get these springs out. God, that seems horrible. But, because of the design, it's basically only got a single control arm. It doesn't have 2, an upper and lower. It's only got the single one with 2 mounts on it, so that, you know, triangulates everything. This thing should, once you take the shocks and sway bar off, it should just drop way down. Hopefully. According to the instructions. Alright, let's do it. Alright, we got a 21mm on this shock here. 22 to take the wheels off, in case you want to know. I do have the axles supported with the floor jack, so it's not just going to fall out. These are nice. It's going to be under a little tension. I'll have to pry that guy out. Grab the other side. I'll have to get a wobbly for the sway bar, so we'll come back to that. And here we are at the front of the axle for the sway bar end link. Gotta pop this one off. You're supposed to hold the end here, so if it spins, then it won't work. If it doesn't, then it works. Let's see what happens. Ooh, a lot of room in there. Yeah, it's spinning. So, we'll have to do it the long way. Wrench and a small wrench. The infamous 10mm. Oh boy. Do it this way. Just jam it up in there on the shock or spring. And we do this. Probably can't even see, huh? See, put the wrench on the nut. And we turn it. Alright. And it looks like there's quite a bit of tension on everything still, so we're going to jack the axle up just a little bit more. Just to kind of take the tension off all the bolts and the hardware. Alright, we can start working these bolts out. Shock. And the trusty Craftsman hammer out here, see if the sway bar wants to cooperate. No problem. And once again, let's do the other side. Let me just throw a little shameless plug in here. First of all, sorry if everything is dark on the video. This camera doesn't do low light conditions very well. So if the video sucks, well, that should be more motivation for you guys to, you know, click and like and share and do all those stupid YouTube things that they always promote, so that I can afford a new camera. So anyways, where we're at, I had to read the instructions to see what else, because I'm not trying to wing it here. So to get the axle to drop far enough, we got to loosen up the brake lines. There's a mount right here. There's a bracket mounted to the top of the axle mount here. One bolt on the back will release that bracket, I hope. Alright, that's a hard line there. Do I need to take both of them off? I don't know, I'll figure that out as I go. And then there's also the central axle disconnect back here. Sorry, I'm not showing very well. There's a box back here that engages and disengages the front axle. I just got to pull one little plastic pin off for the wiring so it can hang down a little further too. Obviously you don't want to rip all the wires and the brake lines apart when you drop the axle down, and you don't want it hanging off anything like that either. So I'm just going to do that. You don't need to see that on video, I don't think. So I'll get back to you when I'm ready to drop this axle down. Alright, so I took off the two bolts. One on top of the axle there, one on the side. I did that because there's actually a hard line going between the two, so I figured only taking off one doesn't really do much good, because then you'll just tweak the hard line. But that'll give us plenty of movement. And now the moment of truth. I got everything disconnected per the instructions. Just let you know, well, I'll let you all know the details of the kit here in a minute. I'm going to let the jack down on the axle and see if things drop down far enough for the springs to just fall out. I heard a ting. Springs are getting loose. Just double check, make sure nothing's hanging up. This spring is loose. And everything is ready to rock. The vent on the front axle has plenty of room. Let's drop her down a little more. Alright. Springs are loose. And we have to drop it down even further just to get the spacers in there. So I gotta drop it down further anyways. Okay. Oof. Check that out. Big old springs. Obviously we got to put those back in. So this is what we got. Everything's loose. We got plenty of room. Springs are out. It's kind of scary working on a truck with only 5,000 miles, especially your own.